They say some hospitals never let go of their dead. One of them stands abandoned on the outskirts of Willow Creek, Oregon, once a fully functional mental health facility. It was shut down in 1994 after a fire that mysteriously started in Ward 6, a wing reserved for the most unstable patients. The fire didn't just destroy the ward, it erased every record of what really happened that night. My job was simple: patrol the halls twice per night, report any signs of trespassing, and lock up. The company didn't believe in ghosts, but they paid well too well. Paint peeled from the walls in long, curling strips. Old beds with broken restraints still sat in the corners. I noticed that Ward 6 was permanently sealed, rusted steel doors welded shut. Even the walls around it were reinforced, as if they didn't want something getting out. I held my breath, but this story isn't about the fire. It's about what still lives in there. The voice was so close, yet no one was supposed to be in the building but me. I turned and scanned the corridor. Nothing. I radioed in. Said, I thought someone might have broken in. Dispatch said they'd send backup, but it would take 30 minutes. Each one showed a different room in Ward 6, like a live feed, but I could see figures, patients in hospital gowns, their mouths open, eyes wide, moving in slow, jerking motions. One of them walked up to the camera, leaned in, and stared directly at me. But that was impossible. That wing was sealed for years. 3 years ago, I worked as a night security officer for a private company that handled abandoned government buildings. One of my assignments was Willow Creek Hospital. From day one, something felt off. I waited for the backup team, and when they came, I told them everything. Of course, they thought I was making it up, but one of the officers, a local guy, pulled me aside. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and hear whispering soft, urgent. The air inside wasn't just stale, it felt heavy, like walking through molasses. On my third night, I was making my final round around 3 a.m. when my flashlight flickered and went out. I tapped it a few times, then it came back on. And that's when I heard it. That place should have been torn down years ago. The families never got answers. No bodies. No closure, just silence. They locked us in. ... A whisper. I couldn't understand all the words, but I kept hearing they never let us out and Ward 6 burns forever. It was faint, coming from down the hall. At first, I thought it was wind sneaking through the broken windows, but then it grew clearer. Someone was saying something over and over again. 6, ... 6, ... I froze. So I waited in the front lobby, but the whispering didn't stop. Now it was everywhere, coming from vents, behind walls, and even the floor beneath my feet. Then the power came back on by itself, and all the monitors in the security room, they were on despite being disconnected. The footage was black and white, grainy, and then all the screens went black. I ran. I didn't stop until I was outside. He said, "You're not the first to see them." He told me that during the final days before the fire, 7 patients disappeared from Ward 6. The staff claimed they escaped during a riot, but none were ever found. And some say those patients never really left. I quit the job the next day. I still have nightmares. 6... 6. We never got out. 1 year after I quit my job at Willow Creek Hospital, I got a call. It was from Ben Carter, a freelance documentary filmmaker. He had seen one of my old forum posts where I anonymously mentioned the whispers, the surveillance footage, and the fire in Ward 6. He was obsessed with urban legends, and Willow Creek was at the top of his list. He wanted me to go back. I said no at first, but the guilt memories never stopped eating at me. I still heard the whispers at night. I still saw the face of that patient in the camera feed. So I agreed. Ben brought along 2 people, Lena, his audio tech, and Jared, his cameraman. All of them were skeptics. They thought it was just a forgotten hospital with a dark history. But that changed fast. The building hadn't changed much, still the same rotting walls and flickering shadows. But something felt worse now. The air was colder, heavier, like the place had been waiting for us. We broke in through the backloading dock around midnight. We set up in the old security room. Ben was excited. He kept filming everything. I stayed quiet, watching the halls through the broken monitor screens, half expecting those ghostly figures to return. At 1:17 a.m., we heard it. The same whispering. We followed the sound and, of course, it led us to Ward 6. As if someone had clawed at the steel from the inside, faint at first, then louder, like a crowd murmuring behind a wall. The same rusted steel doors were there, but this time they were open, wide open. I stopped in my tracks. That door had been welded shut for decades. I was certain of it. The walls were scorched burn black and the smell of old smoke still lingered as if the fire had just died out. I helped him up, but then we all heard it. Ben thought maybe someone broke in since then, but I knew better. I could feel the cold coming from inside. Not normal cold. This was wrong. Bare feet dragging along the concrete floor, coming from the far end of the corridor. Then another, then a scream sharp and distant, but not human. It sounded twisted, as if someone's throat was half burnt. Lena pointed out something on the wall near the door. Scratches, deep ones. We went in. The corridor inside Ward 6 was narrow and pitch black. Our flashlights barely cut through the darkness. Ben whispered, "This is perfect," and kept filming. That's when we found the first cell. It was room 606. The door hung loose on one hinge. Inside, the walls were covered in writing charcoal scribbles over and over again. Others had scratch marks along the walls, as if someone had tried to dig their way out with bare hands. Pale, thin, dressed in a tattered hospital gown. Her face was burned on one side. They locked us in. Fire can't kill the forgotten. All around us. Voices screaming. We bolted out of Ward 6 and didn't stop until we were outside the hospital, laughing. Only audio remained, and even that was filled with static and whispers. Chanting numbers were still here. Jared backed away and nearly tripped. No blinking, no breathing. His car was found outside Willow Creek Hospital. Doors open. Engine still running, just staring. And then, with a slow, cracking motion, her head turned upside down, twisting like her neck was made of rubber. Footsteps. Slow, Ben swung his camera around, but there was nothing. The steps stopped. Then we heard a metal bed frame scraping across the floor. Lena was shaking. She wanted to leave. Ben refused. He said, "We're staying till sunrise. We need this footage." I knew it was a mistake, but I didn't argue. Part of me needed to see this through. We pressed deeper into Ward 6. The cells started looking worse. Some had old restraints still bolted to the beds. At 2:44 a.m., the temperature dropped suddenly. Our breath turned white in the air. Jared's camera started glitching, static cutting in and out. Then, from the corner of the hallway, we saw her. A woman. She stood completely still, staring at us. Ben whispered, "Are you seeing this?" Lena started crying. The woman took one step forward, then another. Her bare feet made no sound. That's when all the doors in the hallway slammed shut, every single one at once, and the whispering returned. But this time, it was loud. 6.6.6.6. Double quotes. Jared ran. Ben followed. I grabbed Lena, who was nearly frozen in shock. We didn't say a word until we reached the car. Ben tried to check the footage on Jared's camera. Everything from inside Ward 6, corrupted, completely glitched. But Lena noticed something in the last frame before it cut off. A face. The same burned woman, inches away from the lens. Mouth open wide. Eyes pure black. We never went back. But that night haunts us all, especially Ben, because 2 weeks later, he went missing. The only thing left behind was his camera, and on the last audio file was his voice, screaming. They're still here. They never found Ben. 2 full weeks passed after that night. Search teams combed the forest, drained nearby creeks, even sent drones through the old hospital, but there was no trace of him, just his car. And that camera. After that, Jared quit filming completely, moved out of state, refused to talk to anyone, but Lenoshi couldn't let it go. She kept having dreams, the same one, over and over. She's standing in the middle of Ward 6. The walls are on fire. She can't move. Ben is there calling her name, but his voice is muffled, like he's speaking from under the floor. And in every dream, just before she wakes up, she sees the woman, the burned face, the black eyes, standing right behind her. Lena was convinced Ben wasn't dead. She believed something had taken him, and she wanted answers. I told her not to go back. I begged her, but she was already packing when she called me. She just said, "I need to end this." That was the last time we spoke. Lena returned to Willow Creek Hospital on a Thursday night. She left her phone recording audio the whole time. When her car was found days later, the police recovered that file. I've listened to it so many times, I wish I hadn't. Here's what it captured. It starts with her footsteps, walking through the broken entrance. She's whispering to herself, "Just get to Ward 6. Get in. Get out." There's wind, the sound of glass crunching under her boots. Then silence, until the whispering begins again, faint, just like before. She speaks louder now. "Ben, if you're in there, I'm here. I'm not leaving you." She walks deeper into the hospital. Her breathing becomes shaky. The whispering grows louder. It's not just voices, it's sobbing and laughter. both at the same time. She reaches Ward 6. The door is open again. She enters. What comes next is hard to describe. There's a sudden high-pitched ringing, like something interfering with the mic. Then a voice, but not Lena's low, deep male. It says, "She's here, the listener. She came back." Then Lena starts talking again. She sounds terrified. "Ben, is that you? Then?" A man's voice responds, whispering, "They won't let me go." She starts crying. You can hear her footsteps running toward the voice. She says, "I can hear you. Keep talking. Where are you?" But the voice keeps repeating the same line. "They won't let me go. They won't let me go." Then, suddenly, the sound of something slamming shut, maybe a door. Lena starts screaming, "No! Let me out! Open it, please!" Then silence for a full 2 minutes. Nothing. And then ... a new voice. Not Lena, not Ben. A woman, raspy, guttural, so close to the microphone it sounds like she's whispering in your ear. "You heard us. ... You came back. You belong to Ward 6. Now, the file ends with one last thing. A soft humming sound, like a child's lullaby, followed by a single whisper. We never left. Lena was never seen again. 2 weeks after her disappearance, police tried to seal off the hospital permanently. But something always happened. Chains broke. Doors wouldn't stay welded. And anyone who tried to work in or around Ward 6 got sick. Violently sick. Eventually, they fenced the entire property off, declared it a federal hazard zone, but people still sneak in, some for thrill-seeking, others out of obsession. None of them come back the same. I haven't spoken to anyone from that time in years. Jarrett won't answer my calls, and I've moved far away from Oregon, but sometimes, in the dead of night, I still hear it through the vent in my apartment or the crack beneath my door. A whisper, soft, familiar. It says 6 ... They're still here. 2 years passed since Lena vanished inside Willow Creek Hospital. And still, the whispers didn't stop. They reached beyond the hospital, now into people's homes, their dreams. Paranormal forums exploded with stories of sleep paralysis, ghost sightings, and violent nightmares. All of them linked back to one thing: Ward 6. Some said the spirits were escaping. Others said the hospital itself was spreading like a disease. I tried to move on. I tried to forget, but something wouldn't let me. Every single night at 3:06 a.m., I'd wake up, wide awake. No noise. No dreams. Just this pressure in the air, like the moment right before a scream. Then one night, a letter came. No return address. Inside was a USB drive and a note. 4 words written in all caps. 1 video file. The fire didn't work. I plugged it in. Time-stamped 6 days earlier. The footage showed a man mid-40s, long hair, military jacket, filming himself in front of Willow Creek Hospital. His name was Raymond Cola, demolition expert. He spoke calmly into the camera. I've seen what's inside. I've seen what it does. I lost my brother here. Every hallway, every cursed room. I'm going to finish what the fire started. He was planning to burn the entire building down, every floor. He showed the setup gallons of diesel, industrial fuses, timers, everything rigged to blow. He ended the video saying, "When you watch this, it'll all be gone." But it wasn't, because Willow Creek Hospital was still standing. The same broken windows, the same sealed doors, the same untouched burn marks from 1994. Raymond hadn't succeeded. So I did what I swore I'd never do. I went back. The air was colder than I remembered. No wind. No birds. Not even insects. Just silence and natural silence. I found Raymond's truck parked near the tree line, engine dead, but now there were char marks on the floor, black trails where the fire had clearly burned, but only in pieces. No sign of him. Inside the hospital, the same rot and decay greeted me. It was like the flames had been smothered midair. The smell of diesel was still strong. The ignition wires were fried, as if they'd short-circuited before going off. Then I heard it again. 6? 6? He thought he could burn us? I turned. There was someone standing at the end of the hallway. I say someone, but it wasn't human anymore. He wore Raymond's jacket, but his face was wrong. Melted, hollow, eyes missing, mouth opened wide too wide. He didn't move, just stood there, twitching slightly like a puppet. Then his head snapped sideways and he whispered, "You can't destroy what's already dead." I ran. But the halls kept shifting. I swear to God they moved. The corridors changed direction. Doors vanished behind me. The building itself was alive now. I found myself in Ward 6, not outside it. Inside, the lights above flickered on, one by one. There were figures in each room. Some sitting on beds, some crawling along the ceilings, some just standing with their backs turned, muttering to themselves. One of them turned to me. It was Ben. His eyes were black sockets, his face stretched like wax. He opened his mouth, but instead of words, a scream poured out like static through broken speakers. Then came Lena. Her arms were burnt, her hands bloody, but she was smiling. She whispered, "You stayed too long. You listened too much." The walls began closing in. Hands reached out from cracks in the concrete. Nails scraped along the floor. Every door slammed shut except one. The furnace room, the place where the original fire started in 1994, I stumbled into it. The air was thick with smoke, but there were no flames. In the center was a figure in a hospital gown, chained to a chair, head tilted down, still, silent. On the wall behind him, words were burned into the bricks. "We burned, but we never left." The man looked up. His face was mine, but older, scarred, exhausted. He whispered, "You shouldn't have come back. Now you're part of this place, like the rest of us." The lights went out. I woke up 3 days later, In a hospital across town, an old woman walking her dog had found me unconscious in the woods, muttering numbers in my sleep. They said I had mild hypothermia and burns on my arms. I couldn't explain. I tried to tell them what I saw. They chalked it up to stress, trauma, exposure. But something followed me back. I can feel it. Every mirror in my house fogs at exactly 3:06 a.m. and in that fog, I see them. Ben, Lena, Raymond, and dozens of others. All staring, all waiting. Whispers seep from the corners of the room, even when no one's there. And sometimes I hear my own voice whispering back,